Cameron Heyward's going to get into this Hall of Fame thing in Canton, Ohio. 12 years, 6-time Pro Bowler already, defensive tackle for the Steelers, 7 playoff appearances. He doesn't know it yet, but we're all starting to think about that Canton, Ohio for Cameron Heyward, part of the great Steeler history defensively. So we're talking about Lamar Jackson. I want a player's perspective. So my thing is the kid wins 75% of his games. What I think's hurting him, Cameron, his mom was an agent, and then now he's got a non-registered agent, and it's unorthodox. And unorthodox, fine if you're a corner or a tight end. Right. If you're a quarterback, I want orthodox. I want predictable. But what is your takeaway as a player about people not having a bidding war for this guy that's electric?
I think it's kind of crazy. You look at the situation and, you watch Laramie Tunsil, and he's a tackle. I get it. But you look at Lamar Jackson. He's won games. He's come through in the clutch. He is the heart and soul of that team. He's the MVP for a reason. And to think that, more teams aren't bidding for his services, it's kind of surprising.
When you look at Lamar and his running ability, and he has been banged up, Josh Allen runs, but he's so damn big, like Big Ben, that Big Ben got whacked for years. Cam did for years. I think a little bit what hurts him is that, and I think Big Ben probably lost 4 years of his career and Cam 6, and they were giant athletes, bigger than defensive players. Yeah. Do you see how a GM could say, we like him, but he's missed 40% of their last 22 games? Like, how do you view that?
It's hard for me to say that. I think when you look at it, Lamar's been very slippery, and, he doesn't take a lot of the big hits you would take as a quarterback. But, those guys, I felt like they always got their due. They always got paid. I think the hits do take a toll on a lot of players, but you look at Lamar's career, it's been a lot of freak hits, freak accidents, but, you can't go against a good talent. You can't tell me that there's 32 other teams that have MVP quarterbacks playing. So there's got to be a team out there that is interested, that just isn't going to wait till the draft. If they wait till the draft and they miss out on a quarterback, I see that team really stepping up for Lamar.
So the last 9 starts for Kenny Pickett, he went 7-2. And one of the things I liked about him, he played in the same stadium, started for a lot of years. My criticism was I don't see a lot of juice, but he's clearly competent with that defense to win games. Take me to the stuff I don't see, Cameron. Take me to practice. Take me to the road trip. What leads you to believe, because I can watch the games, what leads you to believe he's the guy going forward?
Well, I think it's a culmination of things. When you look at the way he prepares and he gets after it in the film room and on the field, it's really just night and day where he was during training camp. And you just see a hunger with him. It's not like he's just resting on his laurels and accepting anything. He understands he can even be better. And the worker's mentality really sets him apart. Because you can be an all-time great talent, but if you don't back it up with your preparation, you're really going to set yourself back. You really saw it in those last couple of weeks when we really needed those wins. He came through. You look at that Vegas game. We needed a drive for him to go, 80 yards.
Yep.
You look at the Baltimore game.
Yep.
He had to go another 80 yards. And then even in the season finale of our season, he plays the Browns, and, he's making passes to my little brother, but he's having fun doing it, and he's really growing in that approach.
Son of the former NFL player Craig Heyward. We're talking to Cameron Heyward, Ohio State Buckeye, great player there, 12 years in the league, 6 Pro Bowlers, like a lot of Buckeyes. He is great college player who's delivered in the pros. So Mike Tomlin is one of the only people, I've been doing this a long time. Mike Tomlin's on a short list of 2 or 3 people that I've never had on my show that I would love to have on my show. I'm fascinated by him. There's a guy's guy quality to him. I know he swears all the time at practice. I know. I can just see it. Cameron, I can see it from a mile away. If all the coaches you've ever had, Jim Tressel, I just love Tomlin. What makes Tomlin, go to your high school, your college, your coordinators, what makes Tomlin different?
Well, Colin, I'll say this. You're not the only one who has an hour on the show. I haven't had him either on my podcast, so we're all in a bidding war for his services. But when you talk about Mike T, I just think he is a guy that challenges his players, is honest, keeps everybody accountable. There are days you go in after a game and you're like, oh, if I'm on the board, everybody's going to know it. And that's from the top to the bottom. Everybody knows there's a level of accountability. The standard is the standard, and he sets the standard. And he holds everybody up to that. Whether it's past players or players we understand the history because of this man.
You're the only player in the NFL with 20-plus sacks and 150 tackles over the last couple of years. The Steelers, one of my criticisms have been they spend a lot of money on defense. They got to get the O-line right, and they got to figure it out. It is an offensive pivoting league. That's why Kenny Pickett needs to succeed. You can't win anymore running it 64% of the time. You just can't. It's the NFL's changed all the damn rules. Now you're looking at me like you guys think you should run it more?
I think you got to play a different brand of football. Matchups make the fight. I know we are different than a lot of other teams that throw the ball a million times down the field, but what do we do differently? We run the ball and we have a lot of success doing it. What does that do to the equation? Lets your defense rest. The best defense is on the sideline. So if we can have an offense that sustains drives, that gets a high-flying offense out of the rhythm, I think that's a better way that translates better in the playoffs, because you have to be able to run the ball. If you can't run the ball consistently all the time, you're going to be in for a long day.
You have played T.J. Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Big Ben. I think, you just the names that you've played with. If I said to you, and we weren't doing this on TV, it was private, I said, just be honest, the single most talented professional football player you've ever played with is...
The easy pick is Ben, because he's so competitive with everything he does. But I have to say, when I saw this man work, Antonio Brown, I was amazed at how he worked, because he would work night and day every time. Like, there were so many times they had to pull the reins back on him, because he was just he had an addiction for trying to get better. And we were never surprised by what he put out on the field, that what you saw in the practice, it was 10 times crazier. And so, it was just like, you couldn't believe the stuff he was doing. Like, he would make it look so effortlessly. I'll take one drill in particular. It's a punt return. And, most guys catch the ball and then they're throwing it back to the punt, the kicker. But what AB would always do, he would finish every single rep in the end zone. He would sprint constantly, being on the scout teams or being the guys who have to, field the punts and make sure that they're covered, you get kind of annoyed. But AB did it every single time, and it set the precedent. Everybody knew when you go against AB, you better go 100%, because, he's going to show out every single time, and you might be better because of it.
Cameron Heyward. Does making the Hall of Fame matter to you? Would it matter?
I think it matters when I get done with this. I think it's a culmination of the work you put in. It puts a stamp of what you're doing. For me, I got more years left in this, and I'm trying to maximize these, so it's not a question. That doesn't mean I'm looking too far in the future. I'm enjoying the process in the present, where I can have a chance to win a Super Bowl, because you win a Super Bowl, that only elevates your career.
Yeah. How long of an off season? Do you give yourself 3 weeks off? How long before you get back to the iron, the weight room, wherever you do, whatever you do?
Oh man. I think we took 2 weeks off. I sprinkle in vacation. So, I'll take some time off in between, but I like, getting right back to it, understanding mistakes, understand where I can improve at. Because, there's only one team that wins the Super Bowl, and I want to be that team, but I understand there's a lot of work that goes into it. And I got to push myself, year in and year out.
Great seeing you. Cameron Heyward, 12 years, 6 Pro Bowls. A lot of all-pros, first class, classic Steeler and Buckeye. Great seeing you, great meeting you, and thanks again, man. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.